As we start a lecture on section 6.2, we remind you about function graphs. The graphs of cubic functions, their end behavior is one end going up and one end going down. Now, this would be with a negative coefficient on the leading coefficient, and this would be a positive leading coefficient, remember? And a cubic function either has 0 turning points or 2 turning points. The graphs of quadric functions, remember their end behavior is both opening up or both opening down. Right? Remember the both opening up is a positive leading coefficient, both down is a negative leading coefficient, and the turning points, it either has 1 turning point or 3 turning points. You might notice the difference here is always by 2's. So we've got x to the cubed, x to the fourth. If we did x to the fifth, it would have 0 turning points, 2 turning points, or 4 turning points, again with a gap of 2. Here we have a table that gives the historical data of the number of worldwide users of the internet in millions, starting in 1995 and going to 2007. You can see we had quite a bit of gain. First thing it asks to do is find the cubic function that models the table, with x equaling the number of years after 1990. And so we'll start here with a 5. Remember that would be 5, and this would get to a 17. So we'll have to remember that. And y equals the number of millions of users. I have already entered all that data, so we're ready to go. And we want to find the cubic function for this. So we'll go to Stat, Calc. We want a cubic function number 6. Just in case we need to graph that, we'll go on down to say we're going to store it in y-vars and in y1. We'll go down and calculate that. So there's our function, ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d, a, b, c, d. Here we are back at the PowerPoint, and I wrote down while we were there that the equation is y equals negative 0.613 x cubed plus 23.835 x squared minus 179.584 x plus 365.670. So there's our function. Let's find what we need to do next. Graph the function and the data on the same axis to see how well the model fits the data. With our graph, there's how it fits the model. Notice as the model continues, it starts going down again. Looks like we have a pretty good fit of the model. The next thing we want to use the model we ported in A to estimate the number of users in 2013. To do that, we're going to use the graph again. So we want 2013 years after 1990. That will be 23 years. So back on our graph, we'll do second calc. We want the value when x is 23. So x is 23. And enter that. 1,400, 04.977. We'll do 1,405. And I believe this was in millions. So back to our PowerPoint, we have this as 1,405 million internet users. This is the number of executions carried out in the United States for selected years from 1990 to 2008 are given in this table. Let's see what we need to do with it. Make a scatter plot of the data to see if the data can be modeled by a quadric function. Find a quadric function, x equaling 0 to 5 decimal places. Graph both of them on the same plot and find the estimated number of executions in 2009. Here we are with all the data entered. Hope you were careful entering the data and notice it skipped from 2005 to 2007. We didn't have a 2006, so we had to skip that. Find an appropriate window for this. Does it look appropriate for a quadric function? Well, it kind of jumps around a bunch, so quadric function might be good. That was our first thing. Find that quadric function, so let's go to Stat, Calc. We'll want number 7, a quadric function. They do ask us to graph it, so we will want to save that in Y1 so we can graph it and go down and calculate it. Here's our function, and you might remember they ask us to find to 5 decimal places. Y equals 0.00912 x to the 4th minus 0.34812 x cubed plus 3.63997 x squared minus 4.95490x plus 22.00010. So we have them all to 5 decimal places. And there's our function. We have our graph, and they ask us to find for 2009, so that'll be x equals 19. We'll do second, calc. We want the value 1, x equals 19, and 42.052. So it looks like we'll have 42 executions. So we found out the estimated executions in 2009 were 42.